Hello everyone, this is Alex Bennett from Kendo World. As I'm sure you know, for the past few years Kendo World has been running a Patreon account where, for a small monthly fee, patrons receive different benefits that include early access to articles that will appear in Kendo World, book previews, instructional videos and live Zoom chats. Now I'm going to talk to you now about our latest offering for our patrons on the top Daimyo tier. Now in my day job, I'm a university professor at Kansai University, and my field of research is Budo, and I mainly teach Japanese students about Japanese history as well as Budo and its related themes. However, I also teach exchange students in English about the same topics. Now in 2020, as COVID-19 stopped face-to-face lessons at my university, I produced a series of video lectures for my exchange students for my Budo Culture course. Now over 7 lectures, students could learn about how Budo came into existence, the schools of martial arts that arose, its place as a form of education, its place in Japan today, and many other topics. Now starting in November 2022, these lectures will be made available monthly to our patrons on the top Daimyo tier. Here is a breakdown of the 7 lectures and the topics covered. For those of you who are very serious about your study, there will also be assignments after each lecture that you can submit to me to be checked. Now these of course are voluntary, and I won't be writing to your parents asking where your homework is if you don't submit them, but just as an extra, if you want feedback, I'm quite happy to give it to you. Now after the submission period of each assignment is finished, we'll either have a review session through Zoom or produce a video where we go through the answers that you may ask and make that available to you and to other people as well. Now at the end of each lecture, there is a Kendo practicum section which explains such things as seiza, mokuso, kamae, kukan datotsu, and so on. Now these practicums are mainly for beginners, but they'll be good as a review for more experienced practitioners of Kendo and could give you some different insights in how you could teach them to your students as well. Now these lectures represent a distillation of my knowledge of Budo culture gleaned from over 30 years of research and practice. Now usually these are only available to my exchange students, but this university level course is now going to be made available to our patrons for a fraction of the cost of enrolling as an exchange student in Japan. Now I hope you'll take this opportunity to learn more about Budo culture and deepen your understanding of these arts, not only Kendo but Budo in general. 頑張ってください。アレクサンダー博士に変身。
Hello?
失礼。The word samurai represents all that is considered noble by the Japanese people. Brave, honourable, loyal, and selfless. It must be said that much of Japan's warrior past was not exactly honourable, and the often bandied notion that modern Japanese have all inherited the samurai's spirit by virtue of their DNA is problematic to say the least. What you believe and take on board is up to you, but you'll need to know the basics of Japanese history if you want to know about the Japanese martial arts. Samurai, also known as bushi,
were the military gentry or elite warriors who eventually became the ruling class in Japan from the end of the 12th century. Although characterized by much killing and chaos along the way, warrior dominion remained intact until the Meiji Restoration of 1868. This was when Japan shed its feudal systems and embarked on a topsy-turvy journey to become a modern nation-state competing with other colonial powers on the world stage. Even after the samurai class were dismantled, the imagery has remained a powerful symbolic force to the present day. In this course, we're going to see the process in which the Japanese martial arts, called Budo, changed from techniques for killing into aesthetic pursuits seeking self-perfection, and into sports, and finally, into standardized forms of physical education. There is no country in the world where the sword has received so much honor and renown as in Japan. Regarded as of divine origin, dear to the general as a symbol of authority, cherished by the samurai as a part of himself, considered by the common people as their protection against violence, how can we wonder to find it called the living soul of the samurai? An indication of the divine worth of swords can be seen in some of the myths and legends recorded in ancient chronicles, such as Kojiki and Nihon Shoki. For example, a well-known myth concerns the Kusanagi sword. The sun goddess's younger brother, Susanoo, was kicked out of heaven because of his bad attitude. Well, he was the god of storms after all. Wandering around Izumo in the Middle Reed country, that's Earth, he came across an old couple crying as the 8-headed serpent, Yamata no Orochi, was about to take their last daughter away. Susanoo came up with a cunning plan and prepared 8 great vats of sake. The serpent got drunk off its 8 heads, and Susanoo used his sword to slash the beast to bits. Hearing the clunk of metal on metal, he dug into one of its tails and discovered a hidden sword, Ame no Murakumo no Tsurugi, named after the cloud that always followed the serpent around. The serpent, now dead, Susanoo married the maiden and presented the sword to his older sister, Amaterasu Omikami, in heaven as an apology for his ungodly behavior. The sword was later passed back down to earth and used by the legendary Japanese warrior Prince Yamato Takeru, traditionally counted as the 12th emperor of Japan, who conquered the eastern lands. When a treacherous warlord tricked him and set the grasslands he was in on fire, Takeru used the sword to cut down the grass around him, thereby escaping a fiery death. From that time forth, the sword became known as Kusanagi, or the grass cutter. It was then included in the imperial regalia, along with a bead and a mirror, and still symbolizes imperial authority in Japan to this day. Incidentally, the original Kusanagi sword was lost beneath the waves at the Battle of Dan no Ura during the Genpei War in 1185. A very old replica is enshrined in the Atsuta Jingu Shrine in Nagoya, although nobody is allowed to see it. Most people think of the katana as the representative